Hello everyone, welcome back to DCS World and Enigma's Cold War server, and welcome to the Viggen. I've actually had this module for a while, I've just not really put the time in to do a proper video about it, but recently I decided to just give myself some time and try this thing out. Now what I was trying to do is some anti-shipping operations, so we'll see that didn't go great. However, I did have a lot of fun, learnt a lot about it, mostly in getting into scraps with other planes, so let's jump in and see how it goes. So as this is another one of my docs debriefs, I'll just be giving a voice overview as we go. So here I am heading in on some ships. You can see one already burning off to the right. I decide to head in on the non-burning one over here. This is my first attempt at anti-shipping operations in the Viggen, outside of a tutorial that is, and I'm not sure how well these weapons are going to work. Now I fire one off there, you can see it streaking down ahead. The weapons do go very fast, these Viggen's anti-ship missiles. Then try and put another ship on my nose here and fire off another. And then start to pull away. The ships have launched missiles back at me, so I'm going evasive here. Because the Viggen only gets countermeasure pods on the same stations that the anti-ship missiles are on, I don't have any countermeasures here, so my only way to deal with the incoming Fox 1 is just to try and outspeed it, so I'm just turning 180 and heading away. What I do notice is both my missiles have turned around and are going in on the same target there, which is not what I intended. You can see the point defences are opening up, and unfortunately what I think happened right there is the point defences took out one missile and the other got caught in the blast. Because neither hit, they both seem to go off with the same burst there. So, not a very successful first attack. On the way back though, I get intercepted by a farmer, and so trying to locate him here. I know the rough direction from that incoming call, but I'm kind of failing to see him. Merge now with him, but he is lower than me. I'm struggling to spot him against the water there. Especially with the reflections on the water rather covering up for a shiny white farmer. Do you see something went down below? I'm not actually sure what that is. I think it may have been a missile hitting the ground after running out of energy. But I do double check, the farmer is still in the air. The farmer has now climbed up to my altitude, so he's definitely hunting me. But I haven't managed to locate him at this point. Now, unfortunately at the altitude that we're both at is the first cloud layer, so I do run into issues here that I can't see him, and I think he's in the same situation. We're kind of both trying to use some kind of early warning to find each other. And here I just get completely lucky. He goes over my nose, but he doesn't seem to see me at all. I think just the angle he was at, I was below the line of his canopy, and so I get a decent view of him and manage to fall in on his tail. Now unfortunately before I can get the missile off, he starts turning, and turning a little bit too hard for me to be comfortable to fire the Fox 2. So I stick in with him now. He's not going too fast. I don't want to keep up that turn because the Viggen really does like stalling its engine out if you pull too high a G. So I just eased off a little bit, let him start turning, start re-engaging. Again, he's right on my nose, but the aspect is really bad. The missile won't really track. I do get impatient and fire one off. Does absolutely nothing. You can see he wiggled a couple of times there. I think he's running into stall problems. And I think he might also get confused because there is another Viggen here which is going to be confusing all of his warnings. He almost eats a ship missile there. Does enough to slow him down that my next Fox 2 is able to hit him. So there he goes, quite happy with that. Got a nice kill. Now before I could get back, I do end up crossing paths with a frogfoot here. I'm trying to search for him. He seems to be going in on those friendly ships that I just passed. Just trying to see if I can intercept him before he gets his missiles or rockets off on the ship. Do see him just there, just off my nose. I go into full afterburner. Unfortunately, he is significantly closer to the ships than I am to him. Now, the friendly ships do not seem to fire at him. I'm not sure why. Well, they fire guns at him, but not missiles. They may well be out of missiles at this point. He does manage to get his rounds off, gets 2 good hits on that first ship. Goes around, I can't see whether he's gone in yet or not. Turns out he hasn't, but he does miss his second one there. Just drops his bombs a little bit too far. So I manage to get on his tail, I fire one. I lose sight of it, I'm not really convinced that it's going to hit or not. So fire again there, but the first one did hit him after all. And there goes the second, just to make sure. 1 frogfoot down. So now I do return to base to rearm and refuel, and as you can see I'm not very good at landing the Viggen. I do seem to get away without any damage, but I blacked out my pilot with the force of the concussion, or the impact there, so not the best landing. And after rearming, refueling, I take off again. This time I decide that I'm going to head in on this damaged ship, fire my first missile there. Also decide that this time I'm going to fire both missiles at the same ship. So you can see they've both come away there. Going and turning evasive, just so I don't get within range. This ship didn't fire any missiles last time, but I don't want to take the chance. Now, here I'm not sure what has entirely gone wrong, but these don't seem to have a lock on this target at all. If you know what happened here, please let me know. But they both just bypass the ship. Neither of them gets a lock. The ship doesn't try and engage them, but they just sail on their way. There was no ships behind it, so I'm not sure if they saw some imagined reflection, but either way, second ship run there, complete failure. So again, as I'm on my way back, I get intercepted again. The enemy are taking off from a nearby airbase here. Just off my nose is Beirut, I believe. And here I'm merged with a fish bed. Fish bed is absolutely on the deck, right down below me. Now, here again, I think I just get pretty lucky that this fish bed doesn't seem aware. He's heading towards where I was engaging those ships, so I think he was trying to intercept me. But he must just not have been paying attention, because he doesn't seem to notice at all that we're merged. And so tees up a nice, very easy kill there. And there, he ejects just before hitting the ground. But there we go. 3 kills in 1 sortie, quite happy with that. Then again, before I can get back to rearm and refuel, this is just a couple minutes later, I get a call out of a frogfoot. I think this is the same frogfoot that I just engaged. He is once again trying to go in on our friendly ships. So again, I'm doing my best to try and intercept him before he can get there. And unfortunately again, I'm kind of in the wrong position here. I don't have the range here. You can see that he's already just carried out his attack. That second ship is now also burning. Maybe just make out that he's turning there off my nose. And I decide, okay, so my missiles are rear aspect only, as is pretty much everything on the server. So my plan is to go high, let him pass underneath me, drop in on his 6 and get him while he's RTB. Which I think is a sensible enough plan. The problem here is that unfortunately he is a bit more aware than that last plane. So as I'm turning in on him, just just about here, he actually makes a very hard turn, gets his nose on me, and gets a missile off. And again, I've got no countermeasures, and so splash me. But still, pretty happy with that first run out. 3 ships destroyed, 3 planes destroyed, no ships even damaged. That doesn't completely put me off. I try again, going in once more on an undamaged ship here. Fire 1 missile, wait a little bit, fire the second, realise that my safety cover is still on, so then have to fire both again, and then pull away. Now I do nicely see my missile does make a very clear course correction there, so I'm pretty confident that it's got a lock. And then I'm just climbing at this point. I like to keep an eye on the missiles. I know there's nothing I can do, but I like to get a view, see what actually happens. You see, as they're going in, 1 manages to hit the enemy ship. I do get a fire on the enemy ship going, but the second one I think gets caught in the first one's blast. So I think I need to space these missiles out a lot better. Part of the problem is that I do worry about that point defense AAA taking out the missiles, which is why I like firing on the salvos, but clearly I need to work on my approach there. Now once again, as I am trying to RTB, I do get a call that I'm going too close to a frogfoot. You can see the frogfoot launches on me there, so I dive down, trying to use the cover of the airfield here. It's just a spike in server lag there, always happens when someone disconnects and a load of people try and reconnect. Now, thankfully, the frogfoot here guesses the wrong way. He assumed that I turned towards the land, so he ended up right in perfect position for me to now get a Fox 2 off on him. So there we go. I don't think he... oh no, sorry, misremembering. He does see that one. He does flare that missile away. He is now turning for his home base. And you see there he's just jettisoned his stores, so he's going into air-to-air mode here. But I managed to get another missile off. That one he doesn't flare in time, and so I managed to smash him. And again, trying to head away, this time I decide to rebase. We lost the original base I was taking off from, so instead I'm going a bit more inland, deciding to abandon anti-ship for now and go for some air-to-ground. And once again get intercepted on the way back, this time by a Mirage. Trying to hunt this down, get merged by the Mirage here. Trying to spot him before he spots me. He doesn't seem to have any kind of radar lock on me, so I'm not too concerned. But once again we're fighting at cloud layer, and so that's going to blind both of us for the time being. And then managed to spot him here, just above the clouds. Luckily he's blown by me, and so we end up in a fairly neutral position to start with here. I decide to save my speed, go high, let him pass underneath me, which is exactly what he does. He's then trying to come high, but at this point he isn't in the best energy state. He's just made a very sharp climb there. As I'm climbing for him, I do just err on the side of giving a little bit of lag pursuit, trying to get better position here. I've got close distance. We do go into the cloud, I do completely lose sight, but very luckily I do just spot him there before it's too late. Manage to correct my turn, and so I'm coming in nicely on his 6 here. Don't think he... oh, he does notice, again misremembering, but I managed to get Fox 2 off there, his flares don't work, and there he goes down. So yeah, I do eventually return to a new airbase this time. Do make a lot better a landing. really just needed to take it a little bit faster last time than I was. Now, once again, not very long after I take off, this airspace is beginning to get fairly crowded, and so before I even make it to the front line, I get a double merge call here. I see a plane, but that's a Tiger, but figure he's probably got eyes on where the enemy is, and indeed there's the fish bed right ahead. So turn probably a bit too sharply here, bleed off a lot of speed. Plane really isn't happy with me. Do just double check that is still the Tiger there. So he's going in, I'm just keeping up. The general idea that if he doesn't manage to get this kill, I should be in a good position to follow up. Just trying to take it pretty easy here, closing the range, but not really wanting to whip my nose around, not wanting to bleed off speed. The Tiger does go in for guns here, but he does overshoot. The MiG does bleed off a lot of speed trying to avoid him. And so then nicely gives me the perfect opportunity there as he's trying to recover in afterburners. So there we go. Third kill of that sortie. So again, feeling pretty happy about myself. Now I do spot targets here, but I need to do a 180-degree turn to come around, and here's where I really mess up. I turn very sharply, turn my nose up in the air, so bleed off a lot of speed. And when you do that in the Viggen's engine stalls. And I realise that's happened, forget where the restart button is, which isn't the best situation to be in. And by the time I find it, it's far, far too late. So yeah, not so much getting shot down as just dying due to my own incompetence there, but I do believe that's fairly common with the Viggen. I just need to get a bit more used to what the plane can handle and what it can't. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you do have tips for me, please do leave them down below. As you can see, I really am learning the Viggen, definitely not comfortable with it yet. And otherwise, I hope to catch you in the next video. Until then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers!